Welcome to the travel podcast by ExcursionPass. I mean, imagine standing directly beneath 10,000 tons of exposed 19th century iron.
Right, with the Paris sun just absolutely beating down on you.
Exactly. The crowds are swarming, and you have, two distinct choices for how to reach the sky. You can shuffle into a packed, glass-enclosed elevator with 50 other people and just press a button.
Or you can choose the path of most resistance.
Yeah, you can willingly subject yourself to the physical punishment of climbing 674 open-air steps.
Which, I mean, it sounds like a wildly counterintuitive choice for a vacation,
That's
especially
right.
when you factor in, like, the sheer vertical drop.
Oh, definitely.
But that friction, that physical effort, it might actually be the key to unlocking a fundamentally better travel experience.
So if you are tuning in, that means you are doing your homework, you're planning that dream trip to Paris, or maybe you are already sitting at a cafe in the 7th arrondissement, scrolling through your phone.
Just trying to figure out how to tackle the Iron Lady without losing your mind, right?
Exactly. And as always, we are your resident travel couple. We make a point of actually living these itineraries so we can tell you what is genuinely worth your time, your money, and your leg muscles.
Which you will definitely need for this one.
Yeah, you will. So today, we are launching into a comprehensive deep dive into the Eiffel Tower guided tour by stairs with optional summit by lift. And this is operated by Epic Tours.
And our mission for today's deep dive, it goes beyond just walking you through a logistical checklist.
Yay!
We really want to explore a deeper question about how we travel. Like, does physical exertion actually change the way your brain processes and remembers history?
It's a fascinating question. And we laced up our own sneakers, we hit that iron lattice, and we experienced every single detail of this specific Epic Tours itinerary firsthand.
We really did. So we are going to unpack the sensory details, the hidden engineering quirks, and, the psychological strategies the guides use to actually get you to the top.
Let's start with the most immediate hurdle, though, which honestly has nothing to do with stairs and everything to do with sensory overload.
Oh, the crowds.
The crowds are insane. The Champ de Mars, the park surrounding the tower, it's gorgeous in photos. But in reality, during those peak summer months, it is just a chaotic ecosystem.
Yeah, you have tens of thousands of people, street vendors, aggressively selling those miniature plastic towers.
Oh, the plastic towers everywhere.
Everywhere. And sprawling tour groups following neon umbrellas, and just an endless sea of selfie sticks.
It is very easy to step out of the metro and feel a sudden, crushing sense of anxiety about simply finding your guide.
Which brings us to, the first practical advantage of this specific tour setup. When you book this on ExcursionPass, the instructions are incredibly explicit. They say, do not go to the Eiffel Tower to meet your group.
Right, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's brilliant.
It is. The rendezvous point is strategically relocated to 3 Rue Buenos Aires, which is a quiet-sized street just a short walk away. You arrive 15 minutes early, and you just look for a small team holding a blue Epic Tour sign outside a quiet little cafe.
I have a theory about this off-site meeting point.
Well, let's hear it.
I think it operates less like a logistical necessity and more like a sensory decompression chamber.
A decompression chamber, I like that.
Yeah, like you transition out of the chaotic Paris traffic, you grab an espresso, and you meet a highly capped group of no more than 25 people.
Right, so it feels manageable.
Exactly. You are resetting your nervous system before you plunge into the epicenter of global tourism. They run these summer departures on ExcursionPass at 1:00 p.m., which is arguably the busiest time of day, so that decompression is vital.
And that psychological reset is crucial because the immediate next step requires a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
The reality of modern travel is that you just cannot bypass the standard security perimeter at the Eiffel Tower. There is no secret VIP tunnel, guys.
Nope, we checked.
Yeah, we tried. During peak season, the process of getting through the metal detectors and bag checks, it routinely takes 45 minutes to a full hour.
I remember standing in that line, just shuffling forward inches at a time and thinking about the cognitive dissonance of waiting. We complain about lines, but there is a psychological mechanism at play where a forced wait actually builds value.
Oh, kind of like waiting backstage at a major rock concert.
Yes, exactly like that. It is not just dead time. You are standing within the secured perimeter, staring up at the underbelly of a 19th century marvel.
Right. You're looking at those massive masonry piers that anchor the tower to the earth.
And your guide is already feeding you the preliminary historical context. The sheer scale of the structure is slowly dawning on you, so the delay actually functions as an anticipation engine.
It forces you to pause and absorb the magnitude of what Gustave Eiffel achieved in 1889. You aren't just rushing from a taxi straight onto a monument.
Yeah, you are marveling at the puddle iron construction, which, by the way, is a specific type of wrought iron that Eiffel used because of its purity and strength. And you're doing this long before you ever put your foot on the first step.
But eventually, you do reach that first step.
We did.
And we have to confront the central objection here because, let's be honest, you were the one dragging your feet on this.
I totally was. When we looked at this ExcursionPass itinerary, I pushed back hard. I argued that my vacation diet consists entirely of butter, heavy cream, and croissants.
Which is a valid point.
Right. I asked why, when the French invented perfectly good hydraulic elevators over a century ago, we were volunteering for a Stairmaster workout.
I mean, 674 steps is literally the equivalent of a 30-story building.
It's massive.
So the physical toll is undeniable, and the tour description is very transparent that a moderate physical fitness level is required.
You will sweat.
Oh, your calves will definitely burn. But this brings us back to our central question about the psychology of travel. Have you ever heard of the IKEA effect?
Oh, yeah. That is the cognitive bias, where people place a disproportionately high value on things they assemble themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a crooked bookshelf you built feels more valuable than a perfect one you bought pre-assembled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that translates perfectly to historical monuments. When you take the elevator, you are effectively buying the pre-assembled view.
That makes so much sense.
You're packed into a glass box.
Yeah.
You're staring at the back of a stranger's neck, and 30 seconds later, the doors open to a panorama. It feels, I don't know, unearned.
Unearned, yeah. It is a passive consumption of a landmark, whereas climbing the stairs, that is active participation.
Right, exactly.
As you physically haul yourself up those steps, you are engaging with the tower's architectural mechanics. Gustave Eiffel didn't just build a tall spike. He engineered an intricate lattice to combat wind resistance.
And when you're on the stairs, you actually feel the breeze cutting through those beams exactly as it was designed to do.
You hear the clinking of the metal, and you get to walk across that diaphanous glass floor on the first level, which is a visceral reminder of the empty space suspended beneath you.
It's incredible. And you also get the gradual reveal of the city. In an elevator, the view is just instantaneous. But on the stairs, the geography of Paris unfolds sequentially.
Right. First, you see the treetops of the Champ de Mars.
Yeah. And then 100 steps later, the curve of the Seine River emerges. By the time you reach the second floor, you have watched the golden dome of Les Invalides slowly rise above the skyline.
You appreciate the topography because you physically climbed above it. But let's give credit where it is due, because the true architects of this experience are the epic tour guides.
Oh, 100%. You don't just march up 674 steps in silence. The way these guides manage the physical strain is an absolute masterclass in distraction.
Take a guide named Anna, who comes up repeatedly in traveler reviews. People highlight her profound compassion during the climb. She didn't just enforce a relentless pace, she read the room.
Yeah, Anna utilized a very specific pacing strategy. She deliberately paused the group in the shaded sections of the iron lattice.
Which is a lifesaver.
Truly. And she encouraged hydration breaks, but she disguised them as storytelling moments.
That's the brilliant part.
Right. While the group was catching their breath, she was laying down the narrative of the 1889 World's Fair. By occupying the mind with history, she diminished the body's focus on the physical fatigue.
Another guide, Marcia, was frequently praised for her logistical fluency. The stairwells can feel slightly claustrophobic when hundreds of people are ascending and descending simultaneously.
You could get tight in there.
Really tight. But Marcia seamlessly managed the timing and positioning of her 25-person group so that the climb felt personalized and relaxed.
Rather than like a chaotic stampede.
Exactly. It shifts the entire framing of the activity. You stop thinking of it as a vertical marathon and start experiencing it as a curated walk through a vertical museum.
And that curation is vital once you finally conquer those 674 steps and reach the second floor.
Yeah. The second floor is where you catch your breath, take a ridiculous amount of photos, and realize you are only about a third of the way up the actual structure.
It's humbling.
Very. Now, if you opted for the summit access ticket on ExcursionPass, the journey takes a very interesting mechanical turn here.
Right, because of the strict tower regulations regarding traffic flow and capacity management. If you have summit ticket, you must proceed to the very top first before you are allowed to linger and explore the lower decks.
So you transition from the open-air stairs to the summit elevators, and the transition itself is jarring.
That's a good word for it. One reviewer on TripAdvisor, Kokajura, described this specific elevator ride as slightly unsettling, which I think captures the sensation perfectly.
I would argue it is unsettling because of the geometry involved.
What do you mean?
Well, we're used to elevators that travel in a straight vertical line inside a concrete shaft, but the Eiffel Tower curves. To get from the second floor to the summit, you are stepping into a tiny glass cabin that scales the exterior curvature of the monument. You are traveling diagonally, nearly 1,000 feet into the sky.
And it's propelled by a system that blends modern technology with principles established by the original 19th century hydraulic engineers, like Edu and Otis.
It shakes, the wind howls against the glass, and the yellow iron beams rush past you at terrifying speeds.
It really injects a genuine thrill of adventure into the tour. You are acutely aware that you are suspended in the sky. And when the doors open at the summit, the reward is just staggering.
On a clear day, the visibility extends up to 40 miles. You are standing at the highest observation deck in the European Union.
But beyond the view, the summit holds a bizarre piece of history. Gustave Eiffel's secret apartment.
Ah, this is one of my favorite details. Eiffel built a private, cozy little apartment at the very peak of the tower.
With wallpaper and oil paintings?
Yeah, and a grand piano. I always viewed it as the ultimate 19th century flex.
It really was. The Parisian artistic elite universally despised the tower when it was built. They called it a tragic street lamp, a hideous iron monster.
So Eiffel built himself a private sanctuary overlooking all of them. He used it as a meteorological laboratory, and he famously entertained Thomas Edison up there.
It was an incredibly exclusive space. Eiffel notoriously refused all offers to rent it out, no matter how much money the Parisian elite offered him.
And sharing those granular, character-driven details is where the guides transition from being logistical managers to vital storytellers.
Let's linger on that point, actually, because we really need to address the modern traveler's dilemma.
Right. Every single person on that tour has a smartphone in their pocket with access to the entirety of human knowledge.
Exactly.
I can stand on the observation deck, open Wikipedia, and read about Thomas Edison visiting the secret apartment for free. So why am I paying €59 or roughly $51 for the base adult ticket for a human being to tell me facts I could read on a screen?
Well, the Wikipedia argument is probably the greatest challenge to the modern guided tour industry. But a phone provides beta, and data without context is just noise.
That's so true.
What you are paying for with the ExcursionPass ticket is a curator. A great guide filters the overwhelming amount of information down to the most compelling narrative threads, and they deliver them with a pacing that matches the environment.
You definitely see this reflected in the feedback for specific guides. Look at a guide named Nihad. Reviewers pointed out how he shared hidden visual details of the Parisian skyline that you would never know to look for.
He possessed an infectious passion for the city that a static web page simply cannot replicate.
Right. He made the group notice the subtle architectural shifts in the neighborhoods sprawling beneath them.
And then you have a guide like Fortune who tackled the environmental challenges head-on.
Because it is windy up there.
It is so windy, it's loud, people are distracted. But Fortune brought actual physical visual aids to anchor his storytelling.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, he spoke with immense projection and utilized humor so sharply that one reviewer actually described his tour using baseball terminology. They called it a grand slam over the fences and out of the park.
And we cannot forget Joanna, who we mentioned briefly at the start. She pulled off what might be the greatest miracle in travel history.
Oh, this is my favorite story.
She kept a 13-year-old completely enthralled for over 2 hours. Captivating a teenager with 19th century metallurgical facts is not a data problem. It is a profound emotional connection problem.
And she solved it. The teenager ultimately declared the tower climb his favorite day in France.
Which is wild. So you are paying the €59 to outsource the mental load. You don't have to navigate the crowds, watch the clock, or decipher the signage.
Plus, you benefit from their local expertise long after the tour ends. Reviewers noted that Anna regularly stayed past the official conclusion of her tours just to draft custom city recommendations, restaurant tips, and subway routes for her groups.
That transition from history guide to local concierge is invaluable. But maintaining our promise to give you the unvarnished truth on the travel podcast, we need to dive into the fine print.
Yes, the caveats.
As travelers who have lived this, we want to arm you with the caveats and the tactical add-ons so you are never caught off guard. The most critical caveat regarding the Eiffel Tower is the volatility of the summit access.
Yeah, you can book the summit ticket months in advance, but you must mentally prepare for the fact that access can be revoked at any moment.
Entirely at the tower management's discretion.
Exactly. Epic Tours has absolutely zero control over this.
This usually comes down to microclimates. You might be standing on the ground in brilliant sunshine, but at 1,000 feet in the air, the wind shear can be violent.
If there's a sudden spike in wind speed or, a thunderstorm rolling into the region, tower security will shut down the summit elevators instantly to ensure safety.
They also occasionally close it for sudden capacity crunches or emergency operational maintenance.
It is definitely a frustrating reality of visiting a super tall structure. However, the financial policy is highly equitable.
Right. If you booked the summit inclusion on ExcursionPass and the top floor is closed during your time slot, you are automatically issued a partial refund for that specific portion of the ticket price.
Which is super fair. And speaking of the financial breakdown, the pricing tiers offered are designed for families, which requires some strategic budgeting.
The base adult ticket is €59, but they offer a youth tier for ages 12 to 24 at €55.
Children are €40, and there are separate provisions for infants.
It really allows families to calculate the exact cost without any hidden surprise fees at checkout.
And tactical planning also extends to what you do immediately after you descend.
Oh, this is crucial.
When you are booking on ExcursionPass, you will see a prominent add-on option for a 1-hour Seine river cruise operated by Bateau Parisien.
I cannot stress this enough. Do not view the river cruise as merely an optional sightseeing extra.
No, absolutely not.
If you have just forced your body up 674 metal steps, this river cruise is a vital, mandatory triage center for your lower body.
It is a highly strategic recovery mission.
Yes. The logistics of the cruise integrate flawlessly with the fatigue of the climb.
Because after you stumble off the base of the tower and your legs are feeling like absolute jelly, you only have to walk a few hundred yards down to the riverbanks right at the foot of the monument.
You board this wide, glass-canopied boat, you sit down in a comfortable chair, and you just let the kinetic energy of the river do the work for you.
It's heavenly. The boats depart every 30 minutes from 10:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night.
They glide along the Seine, offering a spectacular low-energy vantage point of the Musée d'Orsay, the imposing architecture of the Louvre, and the buttresses of Notre Dame.
And the cruise includes an individual audio guide available in 14 languages, so you can passively absorb the history while your heart rate finally returns to normal.
One of the smartest features of this specific bundle is the temporal flexibility. Your Epic Tours guide physically hands you the Bateau Parisien's tickets at the start of your tower experience. However, those cruise tickets remain valid for a full calendar year.
Which is amazing. If you finish the tower climb and realize you are just too exhausted, or, if you have a leaving lunch reservation, you are not forced to rush to the boat.
You can return the next day or even the next month to claim that part of the experience.
That flexibility is a recurring theme with this booking, and we have to highlight the cancellation policy.
Because when you are dealing with a heavily weather-dependent outdoor physical activity, rigid tickets are a massive liability.
They really are. But ExcursionPass and Epic Tours offer a full 100% refund if you cancel up to 24 hours before your scheduled departure time.
It is the ultimate defensive travel planning tool.
Yeah, the Eiffel Tower sells out months in advance during the summer. You have to lock in your spot early.
But with that 24-hour window, you can just monitor the local Parisian forecast. If a massive day-long torrential downpour is predicted, you simply log in, cancel the experience without a financial penalty, and pivot to indoor museums for the day.
You secure the reservation without assuming the weather risk.
So, synthesizing everything we have discussed today in this deep dive, from the sensory reset at the cafe, to the psychological distraction of the guides, the unsettling elevator mechanics, and the sheer burn in your calves, what is the ultimate takeaway for the listener building their itinerary?
I think the conclusion is that the physical path is the superior narrative path. The ExcursionPass Eiffel Tower guided tour by stairs transforms a static historical monument into an active multisensory adventure.
You are intentionally choosing a minor physical struggle.
Right, and in exchange, you are rewarded with a much deeper, more intimate understanding of the architecture, the history, and the scale of the city.
You bypass the numb, passive consumption of the elevators and choose to actually earn the view. Which brings us back to the provocative question we started with. As you map out your days in Paris, I want you to consider how physical exertion dictates memory encoding.
The relationship between effort and memory is profound.
Does feeling your muscles strain, feeling the sweat on your brow, and actually touching the cold 19th century iron with your own hands burn a memory deeper into your brain?
I'd say absolutely.
We firmly believe that when you leave a little bit of your own physical effort on those stairs, you forge a neurological connection to the monument that simply cannot be achieved by standing still in a glass box.
You don't just visit the Eiffel Tower, you conquer it.
You participate in its history rather than merely observing its shadow.
Well said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive on the travel podcast by Excursion Pass. We hope this exploration has equipped you with the historical context, the tactical advice, and the psychological readiness you need to tackle the Iron Lady on your own terms.
We are wishing you an absolutely incredible, enlightening, and hopefully blister-free journey to Paris.
Safe travels.